Plovdiv is probably the easiest to recommend destination in Bulgaria. There's a lot of charm and creative energy in this city. It was even the European capital of culture a couple of years ago. But it's especially its deep history that makes Plovdiv so interesting.
It is often introduced as the oldest city in Europe. I tried to research that a little bit, and the information that I found wasn't quite so conclusive. We can probably just say that it is one of the oldest cities. They found evidence of a settlement from 6000 BC here, and later the Thracians were based here. The Romans came, different empires came and went, and so there are many layers of history to this city. And actually you can literally see those layers as you walk around. For example, there's this Roman ruin right here, which is underneath the main shopping street. It's really cool how they sort of integrated this into the public space. You can go down into the Roman times.
Plovdiv is an easy place to be a tourist. It has a well-preserved old town and lots of cultural sites, and there's enough to do to keep you busy for at least a few days.
The old town of Plovdiv is really lovely. It has a lot of historical buildings, a lot of Ottoman-style architecture, like these buildings here with these wooden beams that create these, I guess not balconies, but extended second floors, which is typical for that building style. It's beautiful. There's cobblestone streets. What's quite surprising at first to me was that the old town is not where the public life of Plovdiv takes place today. Actually, this area is separated by a single bridge from the rest of the center, and it feels a bit like an open-air museum or something. It's a residential area, people live here, but there are various small museums like an old merchant house and an apothecary, and you can go into them and look around. But if you want to have cafes or restaurants or a lively atmosphere, then you have to be in other parts of Plovdiv.
You can get a combination ticket to see all the different small sites, including this pharmacy, museum, and several ancient merchant houses. You can also see the old city gate and stroll around the craft street.
Here you have a lot of these Ottoman-style buildings. A lot of them have been very nicely renovated. And now I'm gonna go towards the Roman ruins, which are in the other direction. Oops, I have to turn back around. I think I'm going the wrong way. It's a little bit confusing here. Like with these old towns, there's lots of little streets over the hills, intertwined. Okay, I think I've got it. Ancient theater, that's where I want to go. Alright, that's kind of a bummer. This is the third thing today that's being closed for some reason. So I think I'm gonna give up on this area right now because everything is just closed. Annoying. Yeah, maybe I'll come back here tomorrow. That was cute, by the way. I was taking a shot of the theater and I heard behind me this whispering like, "Daddy, look, he's shooting a vlog." And it was this little girl commenting behind me this was a Dutch family, so I could hear what they were saying. And she was like super amazed that there was someone shooting a vlog. Yep, shooting a vlog. Indie Traveler. Follow Indie Traveler on YouTube.
If you find the old town a little too quiet, all you have to do is go to the hip Kapana District. This is a seriously cute district with small streets with laid-back cafes, craft shops, and galleries. At night, Kapana becomes a cozy little wonderland, terraces with fairy lights and candles.
Time for me to try some traditional Bulgarian food, and first up is tarator, which is a cold soup that seems a bit like a tzatziki, except it's a soup. That's really nice and refreshing actually. I've also ordered some kapana, which is a stew in a clay pot.
At the restaurant Citizens Club, they serve the traditional dishes in small portions, so it's perfect for trying a few things out.
It's kind of interesting when you arrive in a new place to see how a city is configured. And Plovdiv, it's a bit odd. It has a bunch of hills, so there's one for example. And that of course creates different street patterns. And around the city center there are actually like 4 major roads with like 6 lanes of traffic or something that kind of cut off the center. However, they've done a pretty good job of hiding it. This is like the main shopping street, and over there is one of the main parks. It's really beautiful. And actually here goes a ton of traffic, but you wouldn't know it because they created a tunnel. So actually different areas of Plovdiv are really well connected, and they've tucked away some of the traffic in a neat little fashion. Oh yeah, and here's some Roman columns, of course. There's Roman stuff all over Plovdiv. I'm just kind of wandering around aimlessly for a bit, and I saw on a map that there's a river nearby, and I thought, let's go to that bridge. I can have a nice look at the river. Except this bridge is entirely covered. Isn't that weird? I know that's a thing they do in like medieval towns sometimes, in Florence and Italy and stuff like that, but yeah, I guess they're still making these.
You're probably wondering why I have bags around my shoes. Well, it's to help preserve this, the incredible mosaic floors of an ancient basilica dating back to the mid-4th century AD.
Right, so that is what the site looked like just under 10 years ago. And they went through this painstaking process of restoring everything. This is such a well put together museum. Restoring all this must have taken ages. These mosaic artists looked they had an obsession with birds. 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 More birds. Birds. So today is attempt number 2 to see the ancient theater, and I'm actually successful. The reason it was closed yesterday is actually really cool. Like, they still do performances, like plays and concerts right here. So imagine going to see a performance and sitting in the same location as the ancient Romans like 2 millennia ago. That is really awesome. So this is the ancient theater of Philippopolis. Philippopolis being one of the old names for this city. meaning the city of Philip being the father of Alexander the Great.
The site was only discovered in the 1970s after a mudslide, and it's said to be one of the best preserved Roman theaters.
Well, the Romans really liked building some steep stairs. That looks like a stair in like an Amsterdam canal house. That is very steep. So nowadays this will fit about 3,000 people, but in the ancient times it was about double that amount. And of course the acoustics must be amazing here.
I explored the old city a bit more, which was actually a bit difficult to leave, mainly because one particular local would not let me go. However, there was one more site I wanted to check out.
They say that Plovdiv is the city of 7 hills. So I think it's high time that I climb up one of these hills and get a better look. It's a bit weird that there's always 7 hills though. I mean, Rome was 7 hills, Athens, Lisbon, Barcelona, I think Jerusalem is 7 hills. It's never 6, never 8. I'm gonna do a full count when I'm up there, because, you know, I don't know about this. Oh wow. Holy crap. There's cicadas here that are just huge, absolute chunkers. And sometimes they just fly in front of you. Like, I don't think I've seen cicadas this big or so obviously in your face before. Damn.
This is a really chill spot where people come to hang out, some walking their dogs or on a run, and you can see all of Plovdiv from here.
The statue behind me is a little bit controversial though, because it was built in the 1950s and it depicts a symbolic Russian soldier liberating Bulgaria from the Germans in World War II. And the view definitely is that that was not a liberation. I read that some attempts were made in the beginning to tear this down, to put it somewhere else. But yeah, I guess locals have gone back and forth, and ultimately, I don't know if its fate is being decided for real, but for now this statue is standing.
It was time for me to say goodbye to the thoroughly charming Plovdiv and go to my next destination in Bulgaria.